Mhm.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Deborah Vick. I'm here with my partner here, Robin Powers. We were supposed to work together on a panel today with the third annual Medical and Rare Disease Conference with Dynamic Global Events. Unfortunately, some technical challenges happened, and my dear friend here wasn't able to get on. And she did spend a lot of time helping prepare questions and answers and helping us with organizing what we were going to talk about. So we're just going to take a few moments to ask her the same questions that she would have answered if she was on the conference today and give Robin an opportunity to share some of her opinions. And just to give you guys a quick understanding of what our conference was about, I'll read you what my opening was originally. And it was thanking everybody for coming and listening to our discussion on creating a space for rare disease advocates in the medical arena. Our experiences are unique in that we bridge two worlds. We are patient advocates and we're members of the medical community. Throughout the conference, people had talked many times about the importance of patients and incorporating them in research and in studies and in creating a place and space for the advocates in the medical community. Well, we're going to continue to underscore the need for easily accessible and adequate medical care, the disparate impact along economic and racial lines, as well as highlight personal experiences along our medical odysseys. And then hopefully you'll have a better understanding of the need for inclusion of advocates in the medical research arena. I hope after you listen to our stories that you have a deeper understanding as to why we were asking for a seat at the table and some ideas of how you may implement some programs in your research companies or in your own personal practices. And I feel very sad that Robin didn't get to share all of her stuff today. So now I'm going to let Robin to introduce herself. And since we're not timed, you can take your time introducing yourself now, Robin.
Well, that's nice. I was like, I said I was plugged in, and I'm like, hey, at least I can take my time now, right? It's not as much pressure. So I'm Robin Powers. I'm 32. I attend Northwest City College. I'm a single mom. I'm also a rare disease patient. I'm a medical researcher. I am the mother of a son with a rare disease, so I'm a caregiver. I also am in graduate school for a master's in public administration and nonprofit administration, and I am a recent graduate from Berkeley State College with a bachelor's of science in the biochemistry, the biochemical pharmacology of rare disease. So I'm also an author and an illustrator. I'm like thinking of other things. I am a small
You
business
are.
owner.
Haven't you done more than one book?
Yeah, actually, so I illustrated the first one. That one was called Baby Brilliant. So that one I illustrated the first book of the Chronicles of Zazzles, which is basically my story in the eyes of a cartoon character that's doing Zazzles that looks like a zebra and it's like cartoon, like it's like a drawing, it's like a children's book. That one's the Chronicles of Zazzles kind of issue. That one came out in December 2018, and the next one came out in February, and that one's Connected Future Tango. And it's called Connected Future Tango because it has two different connected diseases. Because, well, what's more fun than more than one connected future disease? Yay, right?
You talk a little bit slower because with your speaker system, it's not quite picking up as much
Okay.
clarity as we'd like. But now I have to do this. Oh, I've been waiting to use this applause, so I'm using this applause again for Rustin for her
I'm
achievements.
scared that we can use the app instead because it has like those like little bosses. They're really fun.
So, my name is Deborah Vick. I'm also a rare disease advocate. I'm also a mother of two children, and I'm married to my husband. Who's for we've been together for 25 years now. I'm one of the fortunate ones to have a very supportive family
It's
by my
because she's
side
so
in spite of
beautiful over
everything.
there. Over there, like that one over there.
As Robin, I also advocate for rare diseases as well as pain management programs. My original background was in political science and law and education. Unfortunately, my body had a different plan in mind for me, and now I'm using those skills to try to help create a more accessible and a world for people with disabilities, more inclusive, as well as helping to incorporate advocacy both within the medical profession as well as the disabled world in general. And also, Robin and I are in the process of creating a nonprofit to help create empowering programs and education awareness and inclusivity programs for people with disabilities of all ages and all types of disorders to try to empower
We just
people
want to
to
show
live
you
life to
guys
their
that
fullest.
you can do anything you dream of. Really, right? Well, no, I just have to say that. That's the idea. You can achieve anything you dream of. Dream all the dreams.
That's our goal, is to help people live to the best of their abilities. I mean, we know that having a rare disease and having severe chronic pain, it may not allow you to do what your original plans are. And one of the things that I talk a lot about is redefining success and learning how to take. I mean, there are losses, and I'm not going to say I'm not sad, because about certain things that I can do. And I will still get emotional the fact that I didn't finish my last 5 units of my law degree, because that was my
Oh yeah,
goal.
I don't know about them too.
I mean, but that being said, I also recognize that I do have another purpose, and I do have ability to help people, and I do have ability to do something else. So a lot of times learning how to redefine where we're going and how we're doing it is a very important process for everybody. And even today is an example of redefining our success. Today's success was
Yeah,
supposed to be being on the show at the panel, and it didn't quite work out. So we're redefining it for ourselves, and we're
that's
creating a
okay,
great
right?
presentation together. So, Robin, the first question today originally was asking about we know that there are issues in which communities have limited access to medical care, and people are being marginalized and underserved in communities. Did you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I know you.
Sure. There's a few different communities that actually that I would say no, no. First, there would be the LGBTQ plus community. I've heard first-hand accounts of many people that had issues with care just when they find out, oddly, that they are bisexual or that they happen to have a girlfriend or something like that. And then all of a sudden, their care, which was more than adequate, all of a sudden is basically treated like they're a second-rate citizen because they happen to be bisexual or something, or like they like gay or something. I have a friend that's a lawyer. Like he's a male. I have to, I know that he's been mistreated because I've seen it in the hospital so many times. I've seen it in medical care. I know that stuff. And then I also have heard of a mother who but her son, who was transgender, he wasn't having synchronized care, but and his doctors, because they didn't want to accept, one of his doctors, I guess, didn't want to accept, Deborah, I don't know, is this correct, that he had this transgender?
The treatment, the doctors that would treat his transgender needs, were not in the
Yeah.
same program and clinics as the doctors who were treating all of his medical complicated issues. And
So were they
so
not
there
working
wasn't,
together or something?
they were not working together. It took 3 years to get treatments in alignment together, and including simple things like HIPAA,
That's like
including things like
horrible.
when letters were written to the schools about his needs, they were using the wrong
Oh, that's
terminology
like the
and the wrong
pronouns.
gender. And now that wrong pronoun was a violation of HIPAA, because that now released that he was
Right.
transgender. So that was also an issue as
Oh,
well.
was that
So
what they wrote?
yes, so they worked on changing, teaching and educating people on using the right
That's why I said
pronouns
third-party pronouns until you know the answer.
or gender neutral pronouns, right, in the
Right.
communication letters. And it took 3 years of work to be able to get the treatments that he needed to be both, because you can't treat one part of a person
Right.
and not the rest of the person.
Right. You can
So it took
just cut them in half or something. It doesn't work that way.
right.
It's just like,
No, it
medical
doesn't.
body. You can just, decide one's one and one's the other. It's all both. They're all one
So it took
person.
us 3 years to get the combination treatment that he needed. So as a
It's
parent,
just
it must have been an extremely frustrating situation for them.
right.
Now,
I couldn't even imagine. Like, I can't imagine. So
I
that's
wish
something,
we
and I can't speak for myself, but just to hear about that makes me so sad because I just don't understand why that would make any effect on anyone's care really at all, especially like if you're trying to synchronize care, why would that affect their care to the point where they can't synchronize it to make it better for
right.
them? Because I mean, that should be their goal. It's different and to the best long for their patient, and it's not going to be by taking their care and cutting it in half. And if they're only, I don't know, half of a person in one place and half of another place, like they're two different halves of people, like two different people or something. It's just like it makes no sense to me. It's really sad, actually.
So, another thing too that we had talked with one of our physician assistants that was on a panel today is a person of color, and she was talking both as three, as a physician assistant, as a pain advocate, and as a black woman, as her experiences, and of course talking about challenges that she's had in obtaining treatment, but also people of color in general coming into the practice, being very appreciative to actually find a person of color when they came in because of their mistreatment by other doctors, by
Oh,
false beliefs that people of color don't have this, that have higher pain tolerance, so they weren't getting treated the same way. A lack of medical
that,
access. Yeah, that was one of the things she talked about today. She was talking about some of the belief system that obviously there mistrust between the medical community and the black community after all the years of well,
mistreatment,
yeah, it's more than mistreatment. Some of the studies and tests that
like
were
discrimination.
illegally
I don't know. Human rights violations.
right.
Go
I mean,
on.
so that also creates a challenge, and then of course, economic access creates a challenge too,
Right.
as well as
Poverty is a
location.
big one.
One of the things that I touched on today was that I was able to get, even though it took me 15 years to get my diagnosis for Ehlers-Danlos, I was able to get it by going to Johns Hopkins. Yeah, Johns Hopkins, but that's not an option for everybody, and it's not in everybody's
No, it's
pocket.
not, and that's why I had to come up with my own. Right. If I didn't
My
have John
parents,
Hopkins, I didn't know I would.
my parents were able to, with their insurance and their, I'm sure, personal money as well, be able to fly me out to from Arizona to Maryland to
Which
get
is really
diagnosed at
amazing.
Johns Hopkins. And then when I had another diagnosis for my reflexive sympathetic dystrophy, now known as CRPS, I had to go to St. John's, which is a special hospital in New York, to get a test to prove
Yeah.
that I had it there.
No,
So, yeah, so, having the medical access, having the insurance that pays for these things, also becomes a very big delineation, separation between
it's called
treatment.
health privilege. Is what I've been. Is what I've been finding. I've written a whole entire paper about it. Yeah.
There's a very big difference in the access to care, the treatments, and the medications you can get. I mean, even recently, there was a big push because Medicaid was trying to take plasma treatments off of the off being covered,
Yeah.
as well as neurostimulators. So things like
Yeah.
that are very life-saving treatments for life, especially IVIG treatments. That could be a life-saving treatments. They're trying
People
to
aren't
fight for
even
coverage.
freaking controlled substances, and that's what I don't get. It's like, you guys don't know when you're controlled substances. Why are you guys arguing about this? Come on. I understand.
Right. So, those were some of the topics that we really had wanted to talk about. But now, this I know is very important to you, Robin. Can you tell me some experiences or comments that have limited access to care to you, or any particular statements that stand out in your mind?
Yeah, I've got some interesting statements recently. I'll talk about the ones recently because I'll tell them the most ridiculous ones that I've ever heard of, and oddly, they all happen like right around the same time. So last week, I heard the excuse of, I don't want to walk across the street. And technically, it's the weekend, so I don't have to because it's just the rules or something. So this was the PA. So when the doctor heard of this, the next, after the weekend had passed, because I was in the all weekend, feeling crap all weekend. After the weekend had passed, and whether she had figured it out, and I was just like, I don't want the Belgica. I was like, forget that. I don't want it. I don't want it. Keep it. I was like, forget it. She made an appointment with me for telehealth, and she was just like, what happened? I told her what happened, and I'd already spoken with our psychiatrist because we happen to have the same one actually. And he was like, just talk to her, it'll go fine. So I just spoke with her, and she was just professional. And I told her what she did, and she oddly gave me back my life. And I never thought that a doctor would ever again give me back my life, give me back the ability to have. I don't know, the ability to have a life. I don't know how to even do it yet. Like, I'm
No,
still
it's
trying to
exactly
think
that
of
way. When
how do you word it.
When I started getting proper pain management, it was like getting a second chance at life.
I just learned how to do it
Prior
because
to my
I'm still
intrathecal pump,
careful.
prior to my intrathecal pump, I was vomiting 10, 20 times a day just to go to the bathroom or the kitchen. So when I finally got my intrathecal pump, it was like a second lease at life. So I do it. It is.
Yeah, like I felt like I was dying. Every single day I felt that I felt like I wasn't. I was so nervous and stuff, and like my skin starting to feel like if I could do like hurting himself, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Well, I feel bad that you're in pain." And I was like, "No, this can't happen." So then I told my psychiatrist, and then once I told him, he must have probably spoke with her, and either way, she understood. I spoke with her a little bit about it, and not too much detail, but that's what's disturbing to me. I was like, "You're doing what? You want to something you feel any better? Things feel worse." And I was like, "You guys have to treat this. How is this not working? I'm diagnosed with menstrual pain syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, you know, uh, chronic myeloid leukemia. Like, I don't understand how connective tissue disease, subcutaneous lupus,
We have to
and
talk a little bit slower. I
different
can't hear you, Robin.
neuropathy." Well, yeah,
I love you, dear, but you need to talk a little bit slower because your connectivity is choppy at times, and I want to make sure
I'm
we'll hear
sorry.
all of these things. So,
I should make sure
you have
everything's
a lot.
off. Give me 1 second. Let me closer. Let me turn this. I want to see if I unplug this. This might help. Because now there should only be one device. Three. Why is there three? I just don't know.
Access to these different various treatments and integrative therapies are so vital. I have what I like to refer to as my pain toolbox, and it has I use a wide variety of methods, from everything from mindfulness practice and gratitude work to acupuncture and cupping and pain management. I do have a variety of medications and muscle relaxants, and I have an internal pain machine that has a concoction of medication in it as well. So I probably have about 20 or so different types of modalities of things in the house that I can use for my different pain management on top of my braces that I have in my wheelchair. I have a wide variety of things, but again, this comes to the fact of who has access and who doesn't financially to purchase the items needed to be able to do these things. Or even, like, for example, acupuncture. Pre-COVID, I was going weekly, and that's out of my pocket, or mostly out of my pocket for that. That isn't covered. Some companies do cover, but usually have a limited cover amount of times. And that's one thing too. My dog, Peta, can you stop barking at every animal that comes past my poor house? Uh, Sorry, I don't have my door closed. So now I wanted to also go into our next question here. And this was regarding patients and the knowledge of current research and abilities to obtain treatments and their options to obtain medical treatments. And I know that you've done a lot of medical research, and you've even self-diagnosed for certain things you found and diagnosed for in parts of your diseases.
Yeah,
Can you tell us
crazy.
a little more about that?
Sure. I actually wrote a book about it. That was what the book was about. It was about my diagnostic odyssey on finding my own diagnosis. Literally, I had to figure it out myself because I actually did figure it out. And then my doctor told me, "No, you can't have it. That's too rare." And it was for hypermobility on my balance syndrome. And I was like, "But really, I think that's it because both of them have to do with hypermobility, and I also have these secondary symptoms. So it would make sense." And I was 15 at the time. He was like, "No, it's too rare." So I was like, "I'll be back." And when I'm back, I want you to give me a handshake. I want you to give me a hug. I want you to give me, you know, a promise that you would never leave anyone else behind, that you would never let anyone else fall through the cracks again. You would teach other people about this. And he said, "All right, deal." So I came back and I left that piece of paper on the table, and I was like, "Well, go ahead, pick up that puppy." I was like, "Go ahead, pick that up." So he picks it up and he looks at it. He gives me that handshake. He gives me that hug. He says, "I'm sorry." And I say, "For what?" And he goes, "For you having to do my job." And I was like, "Whoa," because I didn't ask for that. You know what I mean? That was a little bit more than I expected. And then he goes, "I'll never let anyone else again," and gives me a hug. And he goes, "You really showed me that, I should really listen to my patients, because you showed me that zebras exist, obviously, because I thought that I would never find one, and here you are." And then I actually met a doctor who was trained by him. I was like, "Do you have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome?" Because that's always my first question at the hospital, because they usually would say yes, but they kind of usually won't at all. They will, or they won't at all in any regard.
Or they haven't seen it.
So that's my first question. I asked that, and he goes, "Yes." I go, "How?" He goes, "Well, this Dr. Shane told me about it." I was like, he goes, "This patient, the story." And I was like, "Wait, that was me." I was like, "How about meeting the patient behind the story that taught him that story?" And he was like, "Whoa." And I was like, "Whoa." Apparently I created like a ripple effect with the medical community, just a little bit, a tiny one, but still. It is one. A drop is a drop, right?
It's a drop in the drop, and it's I mean, and I have similar stories. It took me 15 years to get diagnosed for Ehlers-Danlos, and one of the times when I went to
Yeah,
get
I
diagnosed
was
for
lucky that I got diagnosed early. I was just really perseverant and kind of stubborn. Yeah.
well, the RSD, I knew I had it, and I wasn't believed because one of the things that stuck in my mind was that because of my positivity and my smiles and not showing
Right, and
face,
that's what's
I wasn't
ridiculous.
believed. And so, and of
People
course,
don't believe me because of my depression and my pain, because of my smiles and my positivity. They're like, "Well, how can you be in that much pain?" I'm like, "I'm trained. I've been training myself for 18 years so far. I'm trying to make myself look as palatable as possible for the rest of society, basically.
well, I know. I always say this: our face when we go out. I mean, even on Halloween, for example, somebody's like, "Oh, it's great seeing you. You look so great," and then I barely climbed up the stairs to get to bed. I mean, it was like I was standing out
Right.
there for a few minutes, or sitting out there for a
We
few
don't
minutes,
see
and then
the rest.
I barely made it. I literally crawled into bed by the time I got back inside the house. And so people don't see our down moments; they see our facade of our
That's
functioning.
because
Because
that's all that we let them see.
it's true, it is what we let them see. But many times people don't want to be around or seeing what pain looks like. I mean, and what somebody in
That's why
severe
that's
pain
all we
looks
let
like.
them see. Yeah.
I mean, nobody wants to see when I'm showing in a 10-level pain. They don't want to see that on me. They want to see me happy and cheery and apparently
Happy
bubbly.
Deb.
Right?
Look at Deb go. Look at inspirational Deb go. Look at
I've never
happy go
would
lucky
considered
Deb, right?
using the terminology bubbly for myself, but apparently that has been used with me recently, and I'm like, oh, okay. I had doctor office once. They were making me go to the hospital because I was crashing, and I was having, because of my dysautonomia, I was about to pass out, and my blood pressure had dropped pretty severely, even though they had given me a full bag of fluids, and they're like, you need to go to the hospital. I'm like, no, I
Really?
don't.
After a
They're
whole
like,
day
you're
of
not okay. I'm
fluid?
like, oh yeah, I am. And they're like, you're not bubbly. You're not talking. You're not yourself. And I think my blood
Oh,
pressure was
they
like
can tell you
80
for
over
yourself,
40 or
yeah.
something. I mean, so it's it's interesting that, and now with for most of my doctors, my personality is a benefit because my doctors respect and understand what I'm trying to do and help me
Yeah,
try to
mine
be as
normally, it
functioning.
takes a lot of years to get that, but once you get them to understand your personality, then you finally have won something over, you know what I mean?
Right. So I just discovered how I can make it solo, so you can be when you have it all on you when you're talking.
Oh, I didn't notice that we could do that.
So
Fancy.
I didn't notice either. I'm new, by the way. Everyone who's watching, I'm new to using this software, so we are learning how to use this as we are doing this. So now back to
I like the software though, to be honest. I really do like it.
So I'm gonna add myself back in here. There we go. Alrighty. And so
I was
now
gonna say
I'll put you back on when I ask your question. Don't worry. I'll highlight you. So one of the things too that I was gonna say was, besides being positive, and and that is, we're doing a lot of super connector program right now with the hashtag Stronger Together Hub, Join Hub program, and positive energy is apparently my superpower. I mean, I thought it was to inspire people, but people keep on telling me
I
that
thought
I'm
that
so
mine was,
positive
I'm not sure
energy.
what mine is, but I don't think it's positivity, but yours actually, I think, might just be positivity. I don't know. You're very positive. You're much more positive than me. I'm not normally positive Polly about everything. I could totally be, you know, I don't know,
Well,
the one that's totally different about it.
I've
And
been
I'll just be
taught to
real
look
about
at the
it.
cup
But
as
you're
half
normally
full.
positive.
I've been
Yeah.
taught from an early age to look at the cup as half full. I've been taught to look at, if something isn't working, how else can you make it work for you? I mean, even,
Well, me too. But sometimes when you hit the bottom, I just can't do it anymore. I don't know. I've
right, but
noticed
I
that I've
have,
lost some of that recently. I don't know why.
but you have a different situation, and this is something that I want to highlight in another conversation. You, like a lot of other women that have chronic illnesses, are single moms. So I have my spouse and his support.
Yeah.
And so
I
that does make a difference. I know quite a few of my fellow advocates that are moms that do not have the support of their spouses. They're not together with their spouses anymore and are having challenges with co-parenting and having challenges with their disabilities being used against them in
Yeah,
their work
in
as
court every single
parenting.
time. It's always, she's too disabled to parent. It's always, and then it's like the last one was runs marathon. First of all, I run the half marathon, not the whole marathon. That's a lot, more. So I ran a half. It was runs marathon, but is disabled customer. So it's like, what are you trying to do? Prove me as disabled or able? Because I ran that half marathon. I finished and I got that medal. So I don't know, am I
Right.
able to, or disabled? That's my question.
Well, I mean, that's why when we talk about disabilities, you and I both usually lowercase the DIS and capitalize the ABIL.
Yeah.
ABIL.
And I'm just
I can't
differently
read.
able than others. I can do things differently than others, just like everybody else can. Like how some people can drive. I can't drive, but I can advocate for their lives, and they couldn't advocate for their lives. So therefore, one hand washes the other. I know that's how I see it.
I mean, I do take the term disabled. However, I also understand that when it comes to things that we all have different abilities. We all have different
That's why I say like
talents.
everyone's disabled at thing. Everyone's disabled at something fully. Like so everyone's so bad at something that like they're just not able to do it at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, geography, I can't do anything with geography or navigation. I can't navigate for the life of me. I cannot.
So I wanted to ask you that one of these other questions we were talking about today is what concerns do you have regarding patients and their knowledge of current research and abilities to obtain treatments and their options to obtain medical treatments?
I mean, my biggest concerns would be that most patients don't realize that they are the ones that are responsible for knowing about, say, their health insurance provider and what their formulary is and what is covered and what's not, and what insurance providers are accepted by their doctors, and to make sure that their doctors accept their insurance provider and that they know what their copay is and that they have their insurance card and what their rights are and what they can ask for, what they can't ask for, what doctors can say to them, what doctors cannot say to them. It's just the amount of responsibility that I learned from an early age is kind of ridiculous, and there's no guide for it. So I don't know how I learned all so easily, but I've noticed a lot of other people cannot even articulate what is wrong with them to a doctor to explain, like, they'll just say, I hurt everywhere, and that's all that they'll say. And it's like, a doctor can't do anything that I hurt everywhere. It just means either you're lying or you can't explain it well enough for us to help you.
And that was actually something
It's
to
shocking.
follow up. The doctors today, both the physician assistant that we had, Michelle Robinson, that's her last name, and Dr. Charlene Hafer Mako, were commenting that a couple of things. That one, people come in with what they believe is a diagnosis, and many times it's not, but that's still having to take the time to listen to the patient. And then one of the other things that the doc that Charlene was mentioning after I had commented on how much work that you've done in medical research and how I had learned my own medical codes for my finger splints and my the levers for my
Right.
chair, as well as my took me a year and a half to obtain oxygen treatment after being put on oxygen therapy. Took another additional 6 months of appellate process. I say appellate like it was. I felt like I was going to appellate court because I actually did go all the way to the state level, past insurance companies, and then I had to go back and turn back to the insurance
That's more
companies
than
in
I've
this
done.
process,
You gotta
and
help me with
all
that.
while I'm trying to to manage my pain and my medical conditions. And one of the comments that was brought up by Charlene was having a pamphlet or knowledge or list or something written out that is
A guy
guidance
of some kind would be excellent.
to a patient, right? Of because having gone to law school, I do read the fine print on all these little pieces of paper of
Me
knowing how
too.
to do that, but not everybody has a
Just
knowledge
because
of
I
the
look at
patients.
the loopholes, they call me the loophole queen.
Right. So, not having that knowledge or experience can make it difficult for the patients. And so we
Right.
are
I heard her
saying that,
say, like, before.
the
She doesn't know
doctor's
what she would
offices.
do if they didn't. If other people didn't have that knowledge, she was like, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do without this knowledge. We'd be lost with the problems that I have. We would all be lost.
Right.
I could not imagine that life. What would I do with all this knowledge that I've collected over the last 18 years? I would be in the corner crying. You know what I mean?
Well, even for my
It took
most
me
recent
so much
treatments of
effort to obtain the pain management that I just got. I don't know. I don't even think I would still be here on this planet if I had not learned all that I had. You know?
well, like even for me with Neurotherapy, which is one of the medications that helps me not pass out every 2 seconds,
Yeah.
um, I had to battle to get it after the doctor
Right. When you
authorized
got
it,
a
and then
battle,
I had
that's
to go
really
through.
hard.
I think I went through 3 days straight of battling back and forth to try to figure out why my increased dosage wasn't being covered, and it took a lot of hours and patience that I
What
didn't
was the
really
answer at
want
the
to
end?
control. My inner New Yorker was really reaving to come out, and I was trying my darndest
Yeah,
to not get
my New Yorker
agitated.
always is out.
Well, and also trying my darndest to be as patient as possible. And at some point, I remember telling the person I was working, going, "Listen, you know what? I don't have any more patience, so I
That's
am
what I normally
sorry.
do.
I am short.
It's the patience until at first. I've got patience until I just can't take it anymore, and then I get first.
You know, and I said, you know what? I go, I am trying my darndest to be as patient and as polite as possible. I said, but this
As
is
patient
becoming
as it's supposed
ridiculous.
to be.
I'm like, this process is becoming ridiculous, you know. And I did get to work with the manager, but it did take a lot of time and effort, and not everybody has that. It's having to battle for your
And now
treatments
that they
that are
are different of
for
us,
a
we have
standard
a
of
fun
life.
time doing that.
Yeah.
We
So
have,
for
we have lives. We should get to have a life. Like, how are we supposed to work on top of that and take care of ourselves and take care of our families and have a life? We can't, and that's what they don't realize. It's sad.
medical treatment is what it's like a full time job trying to take care.
It is.
It's a full. I mean, there's plenty of treatments that I don't do and things that I don't do because it's just a full time job trying to just
Right.
manage
There's so
your
many
health
more
and
that I
appointments.
should be doing, but I can't just because I don't have the help to do it. So therefore, I can't do it. Like, I'm supposed to have a neck surgery. I can't do that. I won't even go see a neurosurgeon, for my neck because I know that there's something that they're going to recommend, like a fusion or something, but I can't get that done. Who's going to take care of me? Who's going to care for my son? I would lose custody. I can't do that. So it's not an option. Total brain instability, too bad. Bobblehead for the rest of my life until I can't take it anymore, basically.
Although I'm not a fan of neck fusions, as you know,
I'm
because
not either, but like that's what they were like. They were like,
I know
you
I
need to
needed
take
my
this
neck
in.
fusion, and I know my stenosis and my spinal fluid was being blocked, and it had to be done.
That's my
But my
problem is
neck
that
has
it's
never.
not flowing properly. The cerebral spinal fluid or whatever. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's being
Mine
blocked or
has never
something.
been the same since, and my pain in my neck is my biggest challenge.
Is my pain
The
not
rest of
going to
my
get worse
body,
after I get it done?
the rest of my body, I can get to a 6 or 7 for the most part. Um, but my neck, on average, is 8 or
I'm just
9.
a baby because like if my pain, like, I can accept my pain at a 4, not at a 5 or a 6. I can't. That's too much to do every single day. Like every few days I can do a 5 or 6, but I can't do it every single day. I don't know how you do that.
Well, that's a lot of my time I
Yeah.
spent in bed. I mean, I will be perfectly
But so
honest.
do I.
More than
But
half of my day.
I'm scared for the future. I'm scared for the next 10 years that I'm here. Because you're 10 years
More
older
than
than
half
me.
of my
I'm
day
scared
spent in bed. I
in my
have a whole
40s.
computer system by my bed. My whole crafting station is by my bed. Much
Did
to
it
my
get worse
dismay.
in your 40s than your 30s? Is it going to get worse again?
It everybody's different. I know that from every doctor spoken to me that I'm one of the most hypermobile people they have seen.
That's what I keep
So
on hearing too. Like, I'm so hypermobile now with my ankle. It actually complete opposite direction. Like I fell over, taking my son out to the bus on Thursday, and my ankle just flopped over, like in the complete opposite direction, and in a way that which it should never go. And it just like flopped, and it didn't
right,
really hurt too bad, but I was like, it should never go that way. Why is it like I can do like like the reverse namaste, like
right.
all the way on my
You know,
back.
when
I
I
know
was
it's kind of crazy. It's like,
I'm just
I
laughing
don't
right now because one of the times when I was skiing in
know.
my sit ski and I
Yeah.
fell in a way that my arm was literally twisted behind me, and my face was in the snow,
Oh my
and
god,
I
I
was
should tell my
cracking.
pain sandwich story.
I was
My last
completely and
injury,
utterly
my arm
cracking
break.
up. And I was completely and utterly cracking up. I mean, I was laughing, right? You know, and the instructors come and they're picking me up and they're flipping out because they thought I broke my arm. And meanwhile, my arm was just
That's
twisted
what happened
behind
to
me. I'm like,
me.
I just can't get up because I can't get my arm in front of me to get my ski up. But because my
Oh, you're
arm literally went behind me, and before my fusion, when I used to crack my neck and turn it, I literally was like the exorcist and could turn
like
all
I
around.
can put my arm like all the way back like this, and then like this, and like it's all the way straight back. It's not in the direction. It's
We are
opposite
not
in the
supposed to do
direction.
tricks with
No.
our joints, my dear. I am
Well,
chiding
it
you.
doesn't. It's
I am your
comfortable.
elder,
It
and
feels
I am
better.
chiding you.
It does feel better that way. I'm not gonna lie. Why do the party tricks feel better though?
It's because you're stretching the tight muscle. I mean, and that's one of
But
the
it
things.
feels
As long
better.
as
Isn't
you
that a good
stretch,
thing?
not too much though. So that's why with Ehlers-Danlos, the stretching isn't the best way. Is we're more like yoga nidra, and the other type of yoga is where you're doing the deep breathing into the muscles versus actually stretching it
That's
because then
boring. I'm a bit. Don't do what I do. Just don't do what I do. I'm
well,
not
the
gonna pay
problem
for it the
is
next
that
10
the
years,
way that you
but yeah.
stretch it
bad.
you're doing it, you're actually still stretching the connective tissue. You're not just getting the muscles stretched
I'm
and
still tearing it all up and getting all those micro tears.
yeah. So that's the difference, right? Because we have two different, and just for anybody listening, for you guys, we're not live right now, but I'll post this later. Um, that because we could have gone live. But one of the big differences, like challenges that we have, is our ligaments, our connective tissue is very loose, but our muscles are very tight, and it's very
Right, our
symptomatic
muscles are
by
are,
modeling.
are twice as strong as the average
Well,
person is.
they're
That's
not
what
just
they're.
strong. They're spazzing out, right? They solidify,
Right.
like in my body, mine solidify to try to hold my joints in place, and
Yes.
so I have
We're
very
trying to
tight muscles.
compensate for the rest of it.
Right, so I have very tight muscles while I have very loose ligaments. And so even though my joints, I mean, I can still
No
do a split.
tear.
Well, not sideways, because if I do sideways split, I pop my hips out. But a forward split I can still do, even at age 45.
I can do it. I can do it like both sides, but I can't do the center anymore. I was never able to do the center, oddly.
So so being and yet in order to get that stretch, like even when I used to do adaptive taekwondo, in order to get that stretch, we used to pile, the chest guards and the kicking mats that up to give
We used to
you
do
a
it
deeper
person
stretch.
against person. We would drag each other closer to each other. I don't know. That's what we used to do.
So
Yes.
it's very difficult to get that stretch for people with Ehlers-Danlos, and there's different techniques for us. But now that we've talked about that, we went a little bit off our
I'm like,
original
I should
question, but
probably
that's
learn
okay.
that.
I think this is all valuable information to share with people. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, that's why this
And
is
so,
better because this is more just what we want to talk about. So that's it.
and one of the things I was going to say is many of the rare disease patients that are entering the medical arena, um, because of their less than positive experience in the community, sorry, I'm reading my own question wrong. Many people in the rare disease community enter the medical arena because of their less than positive experience with the medical community. And this is not to say the medical community as a whole is a challenge, because there are some amazing doctors out there that
Yes, there are
we
some
greatly
pressures out there,
appreciate.
but for every pressure, there's two gaps. You know what I mean? That's the problem.
Right, and so I know dozen plus people that have entered the medical arena because of that. And I know you have as well. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I specifically have been avoiding medical school ever since I was deciding what to do for college, literally, because they were like, you should go to medical school. I was like, no. Because they're like, you already figured out that you have Ehlers syndrome. I'm like, well, my doctor doesn't believe it. And they're like, but you are correct. And I'm like, well, I know that, you know that. He probably does know that, but he doesn't probably want to diagnose somebody that's young and beautiful with an uncurable disease because they never want to do that. So I do believe that's part of why he didn't diagnose it. He didn't believe me right away once I brought that paper in, but I'm not sure if that was part of it or not. But that's my train of thought. Give me back. Come back to here. It's late. What were you talking
About
about?
being diagnosed?
Oh,
About being
okay. So
diagnosed and
this one. So
about medical school,
when I
about
was
going to medical
15,
school.
so what happened basically when I was 15, I woke up, my knee was displaced. And it was dislocated, and I just popped it back into place. And then I go to school, and then I go to this doctor, and this doctor, he's like, you will grow out of this. And I was like, I don't know why, but I can tell that you're lying. I can look at you and I can tell you're lying. And that's all that I've experienced is lying and bad behavior from doctors. Like I broke my arm like 2 months ago or something, and what happened was I tripped over something on the sidewalk and I ended up making like a paint sandwich on myself. It did my entire shoulder, and then there was like a layer of groceries in between me, and then the impact broke up my distal radial. It was distal radial fracture, and the doctor told me I don't want to treat the pain because I did not break your arm. And then over the weekend, I had a doctor tell me I don't want to go take care of that because I don't want to walk across the street. And those are the most ridiculous answers I've ever heard. Or somebody saying, I wish I had your disease, but I was as thin as you. Or, you look so young and so beautiful, so you're too young to be in this much pain or to be that sick. Those kind of things don't make any sense. I'm lost on that.
Bring myself back onto the screen here. I'm playing around with putting you on the screen when you're talking, and I was like, I forgot to bring myself back on the screen. One of the things that one of our panelists before had said today too, Michelle had entered the medical field for the same similar issues. that she had been disabled and been unable to be employed anymore. And then when she was trying to find a job that she could do, she went back to medical school and eventually ended up
Oh, did
becoming
she
a
really?
physician assistant.
Is that how she
Yep.
did it?
Yes, she did. And so I learned to tell you that that was all because of her disability as well. So she was trying to find a group or a profession that would be most amenable and accepting of her conditions and her medical disabilities, right? Because
Right, but then didn't
let's
she
face it,
struggle to seek treatment? I thought
she
that
did
she had
seek
said, and that's what which
treatment.
really shocked me.
And well, that was today one of the things we talked about when we asked the question about is there a specific time or moment that you had in history, that you had that sticks out on your mind. And for her, it was just recently when she had gone to the doctor's office. She had lost over 40 pounds,
Oh, it's recent.
and the doctor jokingly uh, brushed it off as saying, "Oh, you must have had COVID," and jokingly said that she lost all the weight for COVID. And after about
This
an
doesn't
hour,
make
had
any
never
sense.
actually did a physical exam to see what was going on with her. And so she has fibromyalgia as well as other issues and undiagnosed disorder
Right.
as well.
And she's undiagnosed as well. Right.
And so she's working with her, and formally for her as well, her family are also advocates for her and encouraged her to get a second opinion, and now she's on her way to
See,
figuring
that's
out
why I
what that
became
is.
such a strong advocate, is because I don't have a family. So I was all on my own to advocate. So I advocated for my life for myself because I knew it was all on me. It was all on me.
Right, and it's hard, and one of the things that it's something that's been coming to the forefront is that for many of us, these illnesses are very isolating. Pre-COVID, we didn't have so much technology to bring us together. So
Oh yeah,
that
I
is
mean,
one
like
silver
people
lining
are
is
in
that we are
COVID
more
world, and I'm like,
connected.
welcome to my life. I've been in COVID land the entire time, including the mask. I was already on that from neutropenia, which is a rare disease.
Right. So we are getting closer together. Many of our advocates, we've been like, there's a good handful of us that have been on uh, dozens of conferences this summer and this past 6 months. So we keep on seeing each other, even though we're across the country, and some of us
Yeah, no, we're
are
like,
still,
hey, like, hey again,
you
hi
know,
again, hey there, hello there.
there's this, we keep on interacting with each other. But considering all the rare diseases that there are, which is over 7,000 rare diseases in this country. I mean, worldwide.
7,000 plus. I gotta learn them all.
And so because of that, you would think there would be a much bigger group of people. But with that being said,
Shockingly, there's
when
not.
we're at patient advocate programs, there's about 20 of us from across the country that are what I like to say regulars.
Constant
And
there.
we keep on finding each other and seeing each other. But it's a very isolating world for us because not
Right.
only can't we go out with people a lot of times, but many times we can't join people in
Those
doing
are
things
friends,
because
you
of
know,
our
and like we
pain.
can go to those conferences now. It's heartbreaking.
Our pain
Those are
or
my
our
family.
conditions may make it impossible for us to go out, or may make it possible for us to have what we like to call any spoons of energy left. So if we use all of our spoons to do
Yeah.
an activity, we're done, and sometimes we're done for days. So we can't
Yep.
do
Like a
everything
week.
that people always comment on what they see me doing, which is great, and I do try to do as much as I can. But what they don't see is
Or
all the
like,
rest of
yeah, like they're seeing me doing a
the
ton, and they're
double
like,
time.
well, you did all this stuff yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I came today to do yesterday.
Right. And so it can be very isolating to have these chronic conditions and the chronic pain because people don't understand how long it may take to recover for something. I have to get better at this monitoring these windows because I'm talking and I had only you on the screen.
I know. That was like, okay,
Be patient with me, everybody. I'm figuring this is a brand
I'm
new
always patient
aspect
though.
of this program. I mean, I'm got myself back to this
I
again.
do like it though. I like that you can put like
This
the
is
things in the corner. It's a very cool program. Like, I
So
would
this
say.
is a brand new program, and the interview aspect is a brand new one where you can change perspectives and sounds and names and all sorts of stuff. So I'm like learning this again. And that's
Yeah, I like that you could do like that name, and maybe we could even do like the crashing for a cause with like the infinity symbol. I liked that one thing that I made. I don't know if you saw that, but off
right.
topic,
So
but yeah,
we'll add some
same
things
thing.
like that. But and just for everyone, as we're talking, you hear us chatting about this back and forth because we are creating, just working with the Crafting for a
The
Cause,
most
and we are
exciting thing
creating
ever.
a nonprofit organization to help empower people with disabilities, and we're doing it from all aspects, from empowerment, from education, and from research, as well as creating a STEAM inclusivity programs for youth and
Advocacy,
underserved people.
research, programming, anything that you could dream of, we are going to have. If you ask for it, we could probably dream of it and create it. Honestly, if you ask for it, I could probably create it. Just as long as it has to do with our theme and our mission, which is to empower those that have felt powerless. Because you've had the power the whole time, and we're here to help you with it.
And that's what we want to be able to bring to people. And that's kind of one of the things why today was, I know, very frustrating for you when you tried so hard to get on, because
Yeah.
you really wanted to share your story, and you have a lot to offer people. And we'll be creating a lot more podcasts, a lot more discussions, and we'll actually create a podcast channel. But for now, we'll probably post this on Facebook and maybe on our YouTube, and we'll share it with some of
And
our
my
friends that
YouTube
actually have podcasts.
for us again. I'll probably give it to Angel. I'll say, oh, Crystal, just so you know, we made this video.
And but in conclusion, when our conference today, we were also trying to leave the doctors and other medical professionals with ideas of ways of bridging the gap between the patient advocates and someone left a plate on the floor. My dog thinks it's his now. They're trying to bridge the gap between the patient advocates and the medical community. Martin, sir, can you close my door? And the medical community. And so one of the things that we were talking about, and for me, my suggestion was a lot of research companies and organizations have full-time positions for patient advocates. And that's great. You have a position for it, wonderful. But the problem is it also prevents people like such as myself who would love to do some of these type of roles.
Or like myself.
Full-time role.
And then me plus her equals one person or one position. So cut in half.
Although technically the two of us together probably more than one person, but
that's true. We're probably more like 3 people, 4 or 5. I don't know.
But the reality is there's no way I can work full time. And and this is nothing against the Ehlers Danlos Association, because I love them.
I would love to work full time, but I just don't think that I can.
They just had a position that I would have loved to have done. Unfortunately, it's a
Me
full-time
too.
position.
I saw it and I was just like, "There's no, I can't do that though." I couldn't commit.
So if organizations can create part-time positions, volunteer ways of some ways of helping to incorporate more advocates on their panels and in the communities that they work with in the pharmaceutical and in the doctor levels, things that can help us create.
I mean, I have an idea personally what we can do. So we could ask me as an interview question what my answer would be.
What?
We could ask me as an interview question as to what my answer would be for this. So I do have an idea of what we should create.
Okay, well, we're getting long on this one, so we probably will do that on
a
separate. Just because we've been on here for over an hour, I think, or let me see, 47 minutes.
You're fine. I'm just following your guide. I don't know where you're going with this, though.
I was talking about some of my ideas for creating a space for advocates.
Yeah. I just think that they should make an encrypted space where it be more.
That's all right. I didn't understand that. Yes,
and on a per dem basis, on what I can offer, and that's what you should be grateful to get, and that's what I'm grateful to give. And then, honestly, that should be okay.
Right. So that was one of the things earlier that we were going to talk about, is one of your suggestions for enhancing communication between the doctors and patients, and you were talking. You were talking about the encrypted program.
Like an encrypted platform. Yeah, that was safe. Where doctors and researchers and patients could all come to the table and all talk together, and the patients would be given the respect of being paid for all of the knowledge that we have, because it doesn't matter what degree I have. It matters what's in me. It matters what's up here. That's what really matters. And if I have the knowledge to articulate it out and you don't, and you're a doctor, just be grateful for what I have, because they normally are. So
let me just pause.
They will definitely want to pick that. And if you're saying it, sure.
So I know you were talking about the communication, and one of the ideas that I had was creating programs that help facilitate communication, possibly luncheons or biweekly,
workshops,
or bi-monthly,
or continuing education requirements, like during those.
Right. Well, I have an example is I recently took the EDS Echo training that was designed to help empower me to go educate doctors and medical professionals on what or how EDS patients might present themselves, right? What you might see, so that can help them understand how to diagnose somebody.
Right.
But that being said, I've had that training, but I can't yet get space because nobody wants.
That's why I haven't. I was tempted to do that, but I was at the same time who's going to be creating such a position for this? Where out the position? Yeah.
Creating a series of luncheons to let people come in, even if it's not paid. Although ideally, that would be great to have a stipend, at least for transportation, since I can't drive. So paying.
Yeah, I can't drive either, and that's the poor part that I can't even not driving. But that's been my two challenges for the last year. I've not been driving.
So I mean, I don't have a license anymore. I haven't had one in over.
I have one, but I don't use it, and I promise to not use it until I pay tickets or something. But I don't have any plans to use it.
So I mean, my license
was 32. I'm done driving already.
My passing, because of my episodes of passing out, it was
Yeah, because my narcolepsy and because of my paralysis problems I've been having, I just can't do it anymore.
So so that concept of creating those spaces for us in whatever form works with your company or works with your practice is something that we were thinking is really important to do. And that was pretty much where I was leaving it today. And I was thanking everybody for taking the time to listen to our conversation. And I was opening up at this point. If this had been our conference, it would have been opening up to questions. Nobody had any questions for us, though.
But still, just... Should I say how to contact me?
No, my big thing was.
I'm going to write it on here.
Mom, do you want